local organization.
Thank you. That's number. Which number?
6.5.
Thank you. Albina? You look like you're checking. Yeah. Hi everyone. Today I'm also feeling good. Yeah, good. I think I'm 6 today. I'm 6. Thank you, Albina. Hello guys. I'm also doing good and I thank God for this session. I'm looking forward to accomplish our goals and desire out of this session. I'm at 5.5. Did I leave anyone out? We can begin with our desired outcome. What are our desired outcome? Anyone having a desired outcome for this session?
One outcome the one thing I want to make sure that we do is that we have we get on the same page for the Sept organizing and hopefully even start implementing it. And it would also be good to review the month's goals for the new session. Okay.
Minus the desired outcome. Albina? Getting organized and our responsibilities and also working on top priorities. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm really,
Thomas? Thomas?
Yes?
Any other desired outcome?
Today, and that and the session today, and to learn new things about this movement and the coming month.
Okay.
Yeah, I would like to propose myself to the next level if you people agree not to have a discussion on it. So yeah, we can go for it as well. And I just want to propose, which I am very much looking forward in the previous sessions also, to propose a new Central Asia weekly session, and we will discuss on this how to really get the recruitment for Central Asia, more recruitment, and focused on to get to this session. We will discuss a little bit on it.
Thank you. James, do you have any other desired outcome?
Just talk about at the end of the session, the goals for the next month.
Okay, thank you. Oh, sorry, I forgot. Will you continue, please? Okay. And move on to priority topics then. What are our priority topics for today? Yeah, let's listen and she has to say. Here's some of the topics we discuss. Okay. Yeah.
Why did Hey, do you want to get the link?
I'm doing okay. I'm not doing the presentations. Check. I feel like 7. Okay.
Thank you.
So I did send out an email to people with some of the details, but for me, the main things are we want to go through the sextant organizing. Schedule. That's going to be important. And make sure we all have agreement on that. And then we also want to, and I think there we can talk about the weekly sessions that need to be scheduled, which would be a good right after that for the Central Asia sessions.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have our goals, review our goals, and see like the idea is setting your goals for the next 2 or 3 months is not applicable to the moon session, but we do our monthly goals are set at the moon weekend. Full moon we review them. So we need to make sure we understand the purpose of the full moon session, right? Which is basically to review our current status from goals with our past. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So at the full moon session, we don't create goals. We review the goals that have already been created and how much have we achieved, right? Now I'm going to be working on the EXA payroll. So if people want to do some EXA payroll updating, we could do a quick training on that. But that's pretty much all I have. Then you guys can add anything else you want.
You can put the example and then you do quick training on that. And also, I think I proposed level checking on his can you able to review our budget? It's not applicable for today.
So what is it?
Or just if we can review our budget or not. Anything else?
Nelly, did you want to bring up all the recruitment proposals and all of that stuff? Can you do that?
Yes, I can do that. I just need, do we have a document today?
Oh, yeah. Done. But again, I think all of the proposals are from our budget team yesterday. You know, we had a whole bunch of proposals and things that could be good. That if we could oversee that, and we could add that to the topic.
I'm working on that. I just so that when we have a document today.
We just sent it on the hangout.
Oh, thank you. Okay, I will put the information there.
Well, we don't need to put the information there until the topic comes up.
Of course, I will do that. when the time is right.
Lucy?
Yes.
Are you not facilitating?
I'm facilitating. I can't see people still writing. I couldn't get it. And Nelly was still talking also. Any other religious topics, or we can just move on any left?
Okay, for me, Lucy, I'm good with that.
Me too, I'm fine. The topics. Okay. Jane, can you pass to the first topic?
I just want to add on one thing, that after the sanction, are we the volleyball organizing the dogs into the proper sections or not? Because I've seen that this team was saying on the other day that we are not proper documenting the sessions after it is completed. It was some kind of video releasing document which was not. I think Abdul also remember that it was not documented properly. I think the whole month of September was missing. So can we have session on that as well, because the whole month of September was missing, which makes Steve quite frustrated.
Okay, let me answer you. I think people are not updating videos on video spreadsheets. So we can just go back. It's a task someone can just please go back and check, and you put it on spreadsheet. You don't make things spreadsheet.
You know, that Steve's asking for that to be an agenda item, so we could put that at the bottom of the agenda, as that would be, updating the video indexing spreadsheet.
Yeah, it can be good also, and also to show people that if they are doing the next, you need to estimate the time.
Can someone add that to the agenda, or?
Yeah, no. Okay, anything? That's it? Still have something?
No, that's, I think it was enough. I think.
Okay, let's move on with our first one.
Yeah, sorry guys. One more thing. That I have to be. I want to be working on this website fixing, and I was totally unaware of how to get proper document of it. Like maybe it was some kind of control panel password or something like that. It was related to website fixing. So can we have discussions on that so I can work properly on it as soon as possible?
I don't know about the different time.
You get better, like when you're the facilitator and the note taker, someone suggests an agenda item, you put it on the agenda. You don't question whether to go on the agenda. The only question is what the priority is. Do you guys understand that? That doesn't make sense that a thief says agenda item and then it's just like, I don't know, and it's not on the agenda. It doesn't make sense. So if someone suggests an agenda item, it gets on the agenda immediately, right? So, yeah. Repeat it to them and then you make sure
Okay, sorry, what's it? So anything else? Are you ready to move on?
Yes, I'm okay with the topic and that of course.
Then we can move on to the first topic, purpose of full moon session.
receive that the fax copy. Also, the full
I don't know.
section black unless there are questions.
Questions on the purpose of the full moon, we can address those really quick. Otherwise, I think we're pretty much done. So the full moon session is the global core team. So this is our team, right? This is the global core team. We're all working together. We're all collaborating together. There's one single individual core team across the entire world. All of the main sessions, there's going to be 6 of them, are for the sextants will be what we call sub-teams of the global core team. So when you have a meeting as a main weekly session, you're meeting as the core team, but part of your sextant, and your decisions are the same weight as the core team. And then when you send voting forms out, it goes to the entire global core team asynchronous. So that's all you need to understand. And then we on new moon sessions we do our monthly goals, and then on full moon sessions we do them. And that is basically that. That's all of the senior managers and all of the the planning related to the steering team, right, is all under the core team, right? So the core team is a higher level than the senior managers and the quarterman session. Okay. Any questions?
Okay, if there's no question, then we can move on to the second topic. Exam paper training.
Okay, cool. So let's go ahead and link the document here. So this is the monthly payroll approvals for excess.
Sorry, Jay, before moving forward, can we have the time allocation, please? So it would be better to understand.
All the time. So you guys want to practice during the times? Yeah? I don't understand. What?
There's something you said about that.
Yeah, why don't you guys practice putting time on all the items? Someone's doing it already. Who's doing it?
It's me.
Okay, I see this practicing and adding times. Usually I put them in that's just secret. Is that right?
Jay, can you share screen? Thank you.
So I would say overall your times are pretty good. They're what I would say is low, but then maybe your timekeeper will remind you and help and thank you. But you're likely to go over on time on a lot of items. Time is always just like a general context, but it's important to the timekeeper is like, okay, we have 2 minutes left, 1 minute left, time is up, 1 minute over, 2 minutes over, right? So that 5 minutes left and all that. And just to remind you guys, I'm on this other call. I must talk to the other call again.
Sure.
Are we ready? Are there any more questions this time?
No, I have already started recording the time now.
And then just so you know, the priority topics is not agenda items. And all these should be, I think, green. So just be careful with headings. All right. Okay. So, oh yeah, and you guys are just making everything a heading. Like you can't select a whole bunch of stuff and make it all heading and have to change to a line in heading because this is all heading. It should be. All right. So here's the picture clear on the responsibility is updating the exit payroll payment by month. The goal slash purpose slash objective.
Jay, yesterday we add the tracking percentage and also the reimbursements.
Great. Well, we can cover that. Sure.
Okay.
But it's obviously not done yet. There's still problems.
No, it's not done yet. We were wondering about the percentage for the QM.
Okay, well, we'll go over that. So, anyway, so the goal is to have all of these percentages and the budget green, right? That's the goal. It's all green and green, right?
Yes.
So the things that have already been done is that the preview at the beginning of September, and then you would duplicate this, which has already been done. So we have the October, so it's all ready. I'm going to make sure that we create the top rows, organize it. I also like to create columns. The connect forms are usually pretty good at this point. We just have like one or two columns. I started already. Like you put, first of all, you put something like 1,000, 1,800, and whatever. I mean, have you verified that number? Are you sure that's correct? That's like.
Yes, we verified the numbers, but we can do it again, of course.
Yeah, well, you might want to do that because that's like 2 or 3 times higher than we've ever had before. You know, so it's like.
I know. We checked with the budget the amounts, and that's what it says.
Well, I know, but you need to verify and make sure that it's correct. It's not adding it up correctly. You know, because it doesn't make sense that we would triple the percentage of all of our work hours. You know, so that needs to, you know, hear what's going on with that. Does that make sense?
Of course, it
So
makes
anyway,
sense.
I'm just like kind of estimating here. I'm just like estimating a little bit in terms of the amount. And what we need to do in the future is all of these aspects of estimating the network, every single one, need to be tracked in detail. Right? So this is the systems, we've got exit house, we've got VP, exit mesh, we've got organization, plus executive support, we've got people we're going to be eventually breaking out. We've got documentation, value tracking, general, office contracting, and finances, taxes, and then we've got our picture and some things like this. So these are all of the different agreements we have. Right? Every time you work on any aspect of this in your work report, you can say what you were working on, and then that needs to be tracked within what's called a client work report. So we're going to be reporting to the client, just like you report how many hours you work on everything that you work on. We're going to be reporting to the client how many hours you've done. These are sub clients that are equal to a separate client. So eventually we should have all of the data tracked together.
I do understand, yes.
So overall, I'm estimating this briefly, but I think all these should be correct, but we need to double check with the budget. So if you go to the Excel payroll doc, what you're going to find is we have the updated budget. So this is the current approved budget. Let's go ahead and open this. You're also going to see here, you have the reimbursement. Any value tracking ledger, right? So weekly value tracking ledger is where you can percentages in work time. And then have this one so now all we have to do is confirm the budget amounts, right? Then we're going to need to confirm the reimbursement.
No fire.
So the way that you can approve the budget is to come in here. We know for October 2017, here are the budgets for the different people. Right? So for example, let's say we wanted to confirm Jorge. Jorge, we have 5,000 here. So Jorge, and it says for October 17th, $5,000. Someone like Harlan, have Harlan here, here's CPF. He's getting paid twice a month. You can see that with September payroll. Also, Anya, we need to get paid. So some people get paid twice a month. So then it would be Harlan's 5,000 divided by 2. The half of the month. And I don't know if we want to make a place where it says whether it's monthly or month, but we do want to add that somewhere, like a separate column. That makes that really clear, but right now you just have to kind of review the mid-September budget. It's getting twice a month. It's not for him. Anya should be getting paid twice a month, but we didn't pay her the last week off. So
Yes, because I think the only thing we had was Anya's reimbursement.
so you can see here that Anya's not in budget for the top. So to add someone, probably this page of this right here, we add Anya. Right, but this is not a reimbursement. So saying that we have our tax forms. We don't know how much time, we're going to have to use how much time to do it. And then we look at the budget so we can find the 3,500 a month. And then we go ahead and divide that by 2. $17.50. And we also need to note here that as well. So that we're going to add in the with number, which was 3,500, there from last month. So we add the 3,500, get okay. Although maybe we should just keep it 7,650 and then we have it here already. Say this is already. So as long as you get for that. Does that make sense? So somebody needs to use percentage hours. You want to drag it, I can show how to do that real quick. Let's click on percentage hours. I would find the person. This is Anya right here. Line 26. The document takes really long to open because it's way too big. I mean, it's divide by quarter. We don't need to have forever of weekly value tracking on the same document. Because I come all the way down to where Anya that we call average. September 0, so I see 0%. So then in that context,
Yes.
hold on.
just have doubt on how you get the FQM percentage. Because, for example, the only thing that we usually have is percentage worked. So I don't know how to divide that into all of this.
Exactly 1 minute to go for the topic.
All right, say that again, Nelly. And my other call finished. I have 20 minutes until the next call. So I can focus on here. 20 minutes.
Okay, my question is, for example, we know the percentage track in FQM by, that is in the pay work and tracking sheet, something like that. But I don't know how to divide all that amount into all of these.
What I'm trying to say is that you shouldn't have to divide that amount because we need to be tracking everybody who's working needs to be tracking the hours that they're working on each individual component of the sub agreements that we have with the client, which each people with separate work with a separate.
Okay.
So if we're not doing that, we should be getting paid. So my point is that in the future, the way we do value tracking needs to be much more detailed, and we need to be breaking down the work that we're doing for the client and creating a client work report of the work we're doing for each one. So, for example, when we work with Jorge entities, that would be a separate work report. When we work with Anya's taxes, that's a separate work report, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So the goal is in the future, you won't need to break down the percentages and try to figure it out because it'll already be calculated out as part of our client work reporting. So basically what we be doing is these are major responsibilities of client work reporting. And it's going through and pulling out all the hours of work that we're doing for the client so that we can charge and bill and actually get paid. Because otherwise there's no value so that we don't track the work we're doing for the different clients so that we can bill them properly. Does that make sense?
It does make sense.
So the goal is in the future you won't have to do that. There'll be some type of so there's we need to create and update the client work reports. And then there's going to be a process of updating the weekly and monthly spreadsheets of client work hours. And then from there you would update the
what we have is right now what we are talking is this. Let me put the link there. Give us 1 second. This is what we are tracking right now.
And so what I'm saying is in the weekly value tracking, right? For FQN. So in the weekly value tracking for FQN, and we're getting away from payroll here, we're getting into our own internal value tracking, so this should technically be a separate agenda item. We are doing what's called exit value tracking. Yeah, so this is the client work report. Let me put it in the right place for exit value tracking. Does that make sense? There's going to be one for every single type of work. We'll have a work report. And then in the weekly value tracking, for FQ2 to exit, we would be doing, there would be 10 separate percentages. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And then we can add them all up. But again, the way that we function as a decentralized distributed model is that each individual agreement that we have really constitutes a separate client agreement. In essence, we have 10 clients all within EXA doing different aspects of the work. And different people will be working on different parts of that, but we want to bring all of the information together and make sure that it's all getting updated. But again, this is totally separate from that. So, really, this would be part of FQN value tracking for X and other clients, right? So that's what we're talking about here, which is not like the payroll preparation here. I think that's the two separate topics.
Yes.
So we are 3.5 minutes ahead over.
Okay. So let's get focused on the preparation training and get that finished. Okay, is that all right, Nelly?
Yes.
If you need to ask in, we can review this afterwards as a separate topic, right? But let's get back to the payroll. So I showed you how to do the percentage tracking, so that's done. Now we have the budget. So let's just finish up the budget.
So I have a question there. Can you check please on 35 line, Jay? Krish?
I think we lost Jay. Jay? Have we lost what? Yeah, what did you say?
Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Did I hear there was a question?
Yes, I have a question, Jay. Can you check please 35 line on exa payroll payment and approval by month? 35 line.
3-5. Krish Rajesh.
Yeah, 35. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And check.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this one just check please.
What do you want me to check on it?
I think yeah. So on budget.
Okay, for the budget, right? So we would go to the budget,
Yeah.
updated budget. We would type Chris, who's right here, and we would see that it's now 0. We're no longer paying Chris.
Yeah.
So we can just go ahead and delete that entirely, okay?
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Or make it 0.
Okay.
All right. So that
Yeah.
would be that. Let's see the total is 2.1. Right. So another example is we have exit house network management. So if we go to operating expenses, we come down here to exit house management. Right. We have the Alright, so this needs to be updated in the budget itself. So this is like the thing, and so sometimes things are wrong and you just have to put the wrong information in if the budget's wrong, but if you're living and working, then this is Grace, and this is Jackie. And that's going to be 300. 300. Okay.
Okay.
So it was incorrect here, but that's part of the updating the budget to get the budget correct. We'll move to that. So anyway, so this is 700, and that's not correct. So make it green. This we're not sure about. I think it's possible that it's done. Question maybe done. So we need to double check on that. So anyways, going back to our VZ Enterprise, this is the 300 for that. So that's correct, and we can confirm that right here. Right. So this is the VZ Exit Mesh.
Yeah.
And then we have coordination. So we have coordination here is 1,000. So that's correct. So you can see here 1,000. You know. I think it's 1,500. So this is general ops contracting should be 1,000. Finance is 2,000. So yeah, this is all looks good. So we can go ahead and approve that. So that makes sense. You just want to double check the budgeted amounts for October based on the changes that. Are there any questions about how to update the budgeted amounts?
No question. I think I understand now for this FQN unit also.
Paying the pictures, Karina's getting 2,000, so that's correct. Anya, we have in here, which is correct. Okay, so this all looks good. So then the only other problem that we need to fix is the reimbursements, right?
Yeah.
So for the reimbursement, and this is also heading, get something to read out. The reimbursement is a separate section. So you come here and you click on the reimbursement. And typically we have a section on like new reimbursements for September 24th and beyond. Like these ones would be old, so these ones should all have been finalized and approved. Yes, approved. David's reimbursements all got approved, so that should be fine. So we just have Anya and Eric and Grace. Okay, so Eric, so
Grace hasn't sent the receipts yet.
okay, so let's just put those in red. So I can't edit this. So I have to make edits. One of those documents I got.
Okay, I just do that.
Like changing the entire folder, remember?
Yeah, we still add it to the payroll, but with the information that we haven't received receipts yet.
Yes, you're supposed to the payroll, but not Grace. Grace, we're not.
So I think I just editable for you now. Just reload this one. Yes.
Nelly, if you're in the reimbursement, you can make it editable by anyone. That'd be extremely helpful because right now it's not.
So
Here, I got it.
I already fixing there. You just reload this one. Extra reimbursement.
You fixed it already?
Yeah.
So you basically the bottom line here is simply that if you guys update it, right, you simply need to make sure that it is green, right? So you would look at the reimbursement, for example, for Eric. You would say, okay, Eric still 1421, and then this just needs to be green, so it's verified. Then you can make green. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Okay.
So just do left to at Jones. You would make Jones like more like red because it's not verified. Okay, so and you have here already. Still need to get receipts. Okay, so that's good. So anyways, someone can verify Anya really quick. Maybe share your screen. I need to take a break real quick. I'll be right back in 2 minutes. Okay.
Okay.
Maybe someone can share for Anya.
Yeah, we already added. That is correct.
Okay, but it's not verified until it's green. Show how to make it correct and then verify it so then it make it green.
Okay.
Just inform you people we are 11.5 years ahead.
Yes, it's correct. I think. Can you move on or we still comparing?
No, I think for John's, I think is correct.
It is correct.
Yeah. So for John's is 430.29. So that is correct.
But it is written there, no, we still need the rest. That's why. Can you move move on? Or you're still on this one? So we can move on.
Did you guys finalize Anya's? Get it all done? I'm back.
Yes.
Yes.
So if you check here, so that Anya's is addressed. So now what the whole thing about this, the most important thing you guys need to understand is that until everything has been double checked, triple checked, and then it's all green, right? Or it's been checked and made red for whatever reason, right? It's just not done. Right? And this needs to be done, nothing's been approved. Okay? Does that make sense? Like this is what the definition of output is that it's actually fully complete every single line, every single box here is a task. Right? So we just completed here about 60, 70 tasks. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yes.
So basically the point here is that the goal that you guys need to be achieving is to actually get things finished. So the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and sort this by who is the person who is approving it, so that it's clear what the approvals are. Edit and Alvin. So any two executives. And this is Anna, Rita, Andrew, and there is Jackie. We are going to pay Jackie. Let's just throw her in under this area. So we're just going to do one more here really quick. Jackie's only getting 300, but better than nothing, right? Jackie is $3 not tracking her time as far as I know. Does anyone know if Jackie's tracking her time? You can double check on that. It would be helpful.
Well, Jackie is not. I don't even know Jackie. Please.
That's fine. We have a whole bunch of new people to add to the intern list, which are going to be tracking weekly, but we'll get to that, okay? All right,
Okay.
so just so you guys know what happens with this, because I think it is helpful for you guys to know. The last step of this process is that I would go to, and in this case, I would go to the executive team, and then I announce on the executive team, it is now time to do the payroll approval. So then the next step after the exit payroll that we do, so we get it all updated, then we send it to everyone else. So this is like ready for payroll approval by executives. And then they're responsible for going through and actually approving them, and we can put the names. This would be Alvin is an executive, Axeli is an executive, Tede is an executive, Jorge is an executive, Echo, and Vienna. And I think that's everybody, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's it. And I guess I missed one thing is that I forgot to mention payroll. So edit message. Oh yeah, payroll. Payroll groups. Perfect. All right. So that makes sense. So now this goes out to all the executives, and the executives have come in. For example, you have Axeli, and he would be approving Vienna's pay, and approving Pekka's pay, and approving Jorge's pay, etc. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I understand that.
Yes.
All right. All right. So that's it for the payroll approval and verification. That's great. And then tomorrow is payroll day. So tomorrow we pay everybody across the board. It's very exciting. Lucy?
Okay. I think we can move on to the next topic.
Were there any more questions on value tracking for clients?
This payroll, payroll,
Hi Jay.
Whether there was any question on value tracking for the client, the other issue that
Hi Jay. On YouTube recording, your screen not share there. On YouTube recording,
the recording doesn't have the screen.
Your screen not shared.
All right. Well, that's going to hinder the training, but it happens. Okay. Cool.
Okay.
Okay, then you spend and we can move to the topic.
Are there any other questions on FQN value tracking for clients? The client work reports? Anyone want to take on these responsibilities? We need people to take on these responsibilities.
Must in FQN value tracking for exam.
Any questions about that?
Yeah. Can you brief a bit about that? Is it the exam value tracking that we are doing usually or different?
Right now, people are not tracking their exit client work and creating the work reports and then compiling the client work reports. It's not happening. We have to. So these are the client work reporting is a responsibility that someone needs to take on. And so we want to see if anyone has any questions about it. Otherwise, we should move on to the Sept schedule.
We are tracking the time on value tracking. That's why we created the time work report for value tracking.
Yeah, I understand. So Nelly knows how to do this, right? So obviously Nelly, Jorge know how to do this. The question is, does everybody know how to do this? Because everybody needs to know how to do it, right? And so right now we have a value tracking. So this is exit value tracking, right? We have a client work report for exit value tracking, but we need it for all of the different work areas, right? And then from there, you guys need to take your value tracking data, and then you need to turn it into a percentage, and then that would track to exit for exit value tracking. Does that make sense?
Yes, I agree with that. Let's do that.
The only difference is you just multiply by 2x for the number of hours. And this is simply so we don't have to multiply the costs really high. Because we have tons and tons of business costs and other things that support the value tracking that are directly associated with value tracking that we don't necessarily track as value tracking, which is twice the number of hours already. So anyways, the point is that does anyone want to take on these responsibilities, and are there any questions about how to do it? I mean, basically, you just create a work report for every aspect of the work. For example, exit payroll. On the exit payroll client work report, on Thursday, October 5th, it would say that we did, at least an hour plus, how many people do we have here? Like another 5 hours of training, right? Because everybody was here. This is all work hours that we paid for. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we need to track it. It would be a document, but yeah. So we need to create all of them. So client work reporting, right? So create client work reports for all agreements, right? And then also link this to the overall coordination client working stuff.
I would like to work on that. Yes.
So let's see. Nelly, does anyone want to help Nelly?
Yes, I want to help Nelly.
Abdul?
Yes, I help. I can help Nelly also.
Please, like all I'm hearing is, but it's like that's not going to help. You have to communicate very, enunciate your name so that we can add you to the list. Otherwise, we can't.
I've been listening.
All right, cool. All right, sweet. So let's ready to move on. Are there any questions? Any last questions on this, on how to do it? So the hardest part, just to make sure we have clear on the hardest part. The hardest part is updating the client work reports, right? So there's creating client work reports and updating client work reports, and this probably needs to happen weekly/monthly, right? And this is right. You might need to go through everyone's work reports to find client work, right? And then everyone has the responsibility to log their client work hours, and this would be what we call hours of work credit. Okay? Does everyone understand how to log work credits, or should we review that really quick? I can't hear you. You just talk so I can enunciate and be clear.
I don't understand the work credits.
Two people talking. So who was the other person besides Nelly? I could hear Nelly, and the other person was like a mumble.
I think it is James. Come on, James.
Okay. Can you speak up, James, please?
We can review the work credits.
You would like to review it really quick. Oh, yeah, just take a minute. But I do need to get on this other call. Hold on a second. I'm getting on the call. Nelly, you know how to do it, so you can review it for everybody, and you can share your screen and show them how it's done, okay?
Okay, share my screen. And let me show you, for example, my work reporting. Here is the work reporting. Okay, so for example, what we do is that we work in a body team, right? The whole time that we are in a body team is for 2.5 hours. But the work we did was only, for example, Escamong body tracking was 1 hour, Exa weekly body tracking was 0.5, and Exa payroll preparation was 0.75, right? So that sums 1.75. So that's the only time we work, because the other time we were organizing the team, so that doesn't count as work credits. But the amount that you are going to add to your work report are your overall work hours, okay?
Okay.
Total that you work in the body team. Then, in assigned tasks and responsibilities, you will add the work credits where they belong. For example, it was plus 1 hour plus 35 here, okay? You sum this in your assigned task. Then, if you did some effort, you will add that to your, for example, this in orange are the client work we did. Sum that to the client hours, okay? So let me give you another example. For example, yesterday was a Pacific session, and it lasts 2.25 hours. So you add that to your overall work hours, but the actual work that we did was only 1.5 and no client hours. So we just add that to here, okay, to the assigned task and responsibilities. We add just 1.5 work credits. We work like organizing and everything was 2.25, okay?
Nelly, please come again. Please come again that how to justify 2.25 hours?
The the 2.25 hours was the overall time that I was in the session, in the budgeting, okay?
Okay.
Yes.
So, but the only time, but then I will track my work credits, right? And the only thing that we did in the whole meeting was check about recruiting processes, create recruiting processes, and that last 0.5. Then we also did some sextants organizing, so that was just 1 hour. Okay, so of assigned tasks and responsibilities, I just did 1.5. Okay, but the overall time that we were in the meeting was 2.25 hours. So that goes to overall work hours, and these recruitment processes section that we did goes to assigned task and responsibility hours. So that's why you see that my overall hours are more than my assigned tasks, and that my client hours, and that my output hours.
Got it. Now I got it. Okay. Good.
Okay?
Now I got it.
Anybody has any question?
So it's simple. It's simple. You have to say that 7 hours is the actual you work, right? And overall work hours is the work hours which you spend in the sessions.
Exactly. So the overall hour, the total hours that I worked, like did actual work, was just 7 hours.
7 hours. Okay, so you got it.
Okay, but the total time that I was in sessions and body teams is 12.25. But what reason that is different is because, for example, sometimes organizing the team before start working, you spend like half an hour, so you don't count that on your assigned task and responsibility hours.
Got it. Got it.
So, Nelly, I have a question here.
Can I make something clear really quick? Is that the assigned task hours is not just that you're working, it's that you're working on assigned tasks that you're supposed to be working on. So it's possible for everybody to work on other things that aren't priorities and are not assigned. For example, even with the Sept, if you wanted to track hours of doing humanitarian aid, or even going and working with Turk Balloon or whatever, he could put that in his work report, but it wouldn't be assigned tasks, right? So for people who are doing other work, another example of equity spreadsheets, like nothing's been done on that, it's just no longer priority, and it's no longer an assigned task. You can still work on updating yours and other people's equity spreadsheets, but it's just not an assigned task. So it would still be counting as overall work, and even though you're doing work, it's not an assigned work, so it wouldn't be part of that particular category. Does that make sense? That's great, yes. So you want to say that we have to assign our work according to hours, right? That would be easy for everybody. Exactly, yeah. So whenever you're working on something, you have your buddy. I just worked 2 hours in my buddy team, but then say what you actually did in your buddy team so that we know what you're doing. And actually our policy is that unless you actually put the actual assigned hours of what you're actually doing, at the mid-week check-in, which Lucy's supposed to be helping out with and other people, all you have in your work report is just buddy teams and sessions. We're going to ask you to stop working because it means you're not doing the assigned tasks that you've been requested to do, and therefore you shouldn't be using work the rest of it. Does that make sense? Like it should be half and half. Half of your time to be spent on assigned work. Can you go back to your work report, Nelly? So let's say right now it's Thursday / Wednesday. We can see here for this week, Nelly's done 7 hours of assigned tasks and 12 hours of work. So she's worked at least half of her time, if not more. It's almost 60%, 70% of her time has been on assigned tasks, right? And client hours should be about 25%. So that is the correct amount of time. So if someone is only doing overall work hours and not doing any assigned tasks, that should basically mean that they're either brand new training, which is okay, so they would be exempt from the policy, or
they need to, only work on assigned tasks and not attend meetings. Does that make sense? Abdul?
Yeah.
Abdul, you have a question?
Yes, I have a question, Jay. When we are in meeting session, then we meeting session into our overall work hour, right?
Yeah, I think that we cannot, the meeting session.
Yeah, that's when we go to the overall time, overall hours, because we have to assign just the sessions. Let's go to the overall hours.
So, Nelly, can you check on your Monday, October 2nd, second Monday? I think I see your Monday overall hour is 7.5 hours, right?
Monday overall is 7.5 hours. She did the Dina session. So she went to the Dina session for 3.5 hours, and she didn't actually do any work, right? She was just talking and getting training and collaborating and brainstorming, which is very important. We want people to attend sessions and get paid for them, but no work got completed during the time. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes.
So I think Nelly's overall hour is 12.25, and assigned task is 7 hours. Then client hour is 4.75 hours, and initial output is 1.5 hours. So when we summation this 3 assigned task, then client hours and initial, so then we found 12.25. So that's why I have a question. I think Nelly was on Vena session, so that session was a meeting session, right?
Yes, for example, in that session,
Yeah.
in the business session,
Yeah.
I didn't do any assigned task or responsibility,
Yeah.
so I don't count that on the assigned task. Okay, it's time that goes to my overall work hours.
Yeah.
It didn't do any work or any task or any responsibilities.
Yeah.
So I don't count them as assigned tasks or responsibility hours.
So that's why I think your this Vena session, that was a meeting session. So that's why your overall hours may be increased, not 12.25 hours. I think this that will be more than 12.5 hours. Am I right? Because Vena session was 3.5 hours.
I think the point is,
Yeah.
every session that we have, like a main session,
Yeah.
the hours are going to open. Never been either assigned task or client task. No, it's just an overall.
So, so I think when this meeting session as a overall hour, so we cannot add this meeting session into our assigned task hour. So, am I right?
Yes.
Correct, because it's not an assigned task. Like
Yeah.
Attending a meeting,
Yeah.
doing a session
Yeah.
isn't work, right? So it's part of your overall work hours because you're not actually accomplishing anything, which is perfectly fine. In fact, what we expect, all right? And let me write this down. Let me share my screen again and write this down. Right. So if we go back to our notes for now, which are right here, moment session. So right now we're talking about value tracking, right? So this is a work reporting and value tracking. So the current policy on workers and their work per week. Per week, 100% of your time is on overall type of hours. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
50% of time, 50% of time is spent on assigned tasks, or assigned responsibilities, right? And then 25% of time is spent on client responsibilities. And this is still sort of like not enforced. The goal is that everybody should be working a few hours on client responsibilities, right? And everyone, I think everyone's supposed to have a minimum of one client responsibility, I believe. As part of their main docs, everyone needs to choose at least one client responsibility. Maybe it's two, 1 to 2. Anyways, the point is that this is what's required, right? So every single week on Wednesdays, we are supposed to review your work report and make sure that you have got actual assigned work. Right? It doesn't mean you're accomplishing anything. There's no requirement to have output. There's no requirement to have production. It's just that you're actually spending half of your time focused on some type of work that you've been assigned to do. So if all you do all week is watch training videos constantly forever, we're not going to allow you to do that. You need to actually be working on something. Okay, you can't just attend your session. You can't just, dilly-dally around, right? You actually have that. But again, half of your time should be spent on attending sessions, getting organized, planning, making sure it's all really clear, right? So literally, we are approving and expecting that 50% of your time is spent on training, learning, planning, organizing, preparing so that your work time is effective, right? So that's just how work gets done. Right? Half of your time needs to be spent on being prepared and organized. Some weeks you'll do more than less, but overall the goal is about a 50-50 split, okay? And that's just how business works. So when we charge the client, we by definition are going to charge them double the amount of time, because it takes us twice as much time to be trained and to be organized and be prepared so that we can effectively complete the work of the client. It just literally takes twice as long. So that's just how business works, okay? Yeah, so let's review really quickly. So if I go to my main doc, so we have the work track, we have the spreadsheet, routine, hours, and work intent. So like what Nelly was saying here is that, Nelly, you said how many hours you have? 12.25?
Yes.
So we come to this week. Currently, this is week 4, right? This is the last. Is this really the last week? Wow. Let me double check something. So this is the first Saturday, the second Saturday. So there's a 5th week this month. So the second Saturday is the 14th. So we have 1 more week to finalize our budget. So there's a 5th week this month. So we need to add a 5th week here. Can someone take care of that?
Yes. Yeah.
So now we have 12.25 hours worked. Under assigned hours, we got 7 hours client hours. Okay. So she has it all correctly logged here so that it's really clear that she's working hard and getting work done. With everyone else, we have no idea what they're doing. Right? So everyone else is like, what's going on? So let's look at Abdul for a minute. Because Abdul doesn't. Abdul. So Abdul hasn't really been tracking his assigned hours. So here we have, buddy team. Sonic session, right team Sonic session. So as far as we're concerned, if we looked at this on a Wednesday, right? As far as your work report goes, you did no actual tasks or responsibilities. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So this would be a problem if Lucy was doing her work correctly. You would, at the midweek check-in, right, on Wednesday, she would come and look at Abdul's work report and be, Abdul, you didn't do any assigned responsibilities for the week. Therefore, for the rest of the week, you can't attend any more sessions, and you can only do work on assigned responsibilities, and that's it. No more training or anything like that, because it's not you don't have anything here. And the reason why this is such a big problem is because it means that you can't bill the client to make money. Right? So if you aren't logging work hours, we can't log work hours to the client, and therefore we can't bill, and therefore we can't bring in money, and therefore we can't pay you either. Does that make sense? Eventually we'll have to let you go because we won't be able to bring in the money to have the pay. You guys are understanding how important it is to log the actual work you're doing and not just the sessions? Yes. Yeah. So I don't know if
Okay, Jay, that means on that spreadsheet every Wednesday, I should review what people from Sunday to Wednesday.
now that's the midweek assigned responsibility check-in with the workers, right? This is Lucy. That's it. Lucy and whoever else wants to help out with it, you know?
I remember.
So what everyone needs to do, so you need to make sure your assigned work hours are logged as, again, this is hours of work credits, just like Nelly said, these aren't your actual hours, these are just the hours that we're billing for the work that you're doing, the work credits. And then this is how we get paid. Otherwise, we can't bill the clients and also cannot get you paid either, right?
Yes.
So everything related to output, production, etc. This is all optional, but assigned work hours and having 50% of your time being assigned work hours of work credits is mandatory. And on Wednesday, we're going to be reviewing, making sure that people are doing work, and if you're not, we're going to ask you to stop. Okay? So let's look at someone else's. Try Jane. See what James. So Jane is very similar to right. So again, we're still going to let you do 50% of your time. So if you only record your hours of work, right, this is what paid for, right? So this is good, right? It's great that you're tracking your hours and we're going to pay for these hours. But we're just going to say, okay, that's great, you worked those hours, but you didn't log the actual work that you did. So now you need to only do assigned task hours for the rest of the week, or you need to stop. So that's basically it's very, very important so that we're able to know how much we can bill the clients for the work that's getting done. So let's look at Jorge's work report real quick. So Jorge is very similar to Nelly, where he's starting to track very clearly his client hours, and we know his output so that he's actually getting bonuses, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. So any other questions on this stuff?
No, yeah, I've got no idea that I'll track my hours that I assigned hours I was like today.
Well, yeah, but you can see you were having even other bigger problems in that you weren't tracking your hours at all.
Yeah, that was before but then I've started my hours doing that now.
Okay, this is great. Overall hours, 16 hours. Yay, this is excellent. Okay, cool. That's what we want to see. So look, we have beautiful hours for you. This is great. 15 hours. So yeah, we can go back and we can update this. So before, like 4 hours, like what's going on, right? Right, cool.
Yeah,
All right, sweet. All right, great. That's great to hear. Okay, so I think we're ready to move on, right? Any questions on that?
Pretty much clear from my side.
Yes, no question from my side also.
All right, so can we go on to this?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So realistically, it would take at least 10 minutes. Okay, so let's get through this because this is really important and very exciting. So the goal here, overall goal or desired outcome, desired outcome is to start our 24-hour, 365-day schedule and get people doing more work. I mean, that's the goal, right? So, let's see here. So we just pull up this next. So the first thing we want to understand is the new sextant schedule and breakdown of the sextants, okay? And that is these two. So we made a couple of major mistakes in the scheduling from before. And bottom line, we reversed the order. So we said that West Central your Africa, right, happens, and this is UTC 0 degrees sextant. That this one, and then we said that the East Africa, Middle East, Central Asia happens after it, and that's incorrect, right? After West Central Africa is West Atlantic. So the temporal order of this, so this is the global, global rational context, right? So this is just how I think about it. Maybe it's just me, I don't know, but this is how I think about the structure of the global sextant, right? That it goes through Asia and then West Atlantic kind of at the end. But importantly, it's in reverse because the Earth spins this direction. So after West and Central Africa, you have West Atlantic, and then East Pacific, and then West Pacific. So this is the actual order of the sextants. Does that make sense?
No.
Yeah. So the most important thing to understand is that the Africa, the Austrasia question itself is basically being broken up. And there's some other changes that are happening. We went through this entire process with the Americans. We had the American quadrant. We broke up into two sections, which is the West Atlantic and the East Pacific. And so now we're breaking up Austrasia and Oceania, things so West Pacific, East Asia, Australia, East Africa, Middle East, and Central Asia. Okay. Okay. So these are the new times for the different sextants. Remember, we have 6 sextants now instead of 5. 5 completed. So let's just finalize that proposal really quick. It's very, very important. So the proposal is to switch to sextant structure for our global organizing. Does anyone disagree? So we're no longer going to be doing the quintants, and we're going to be doing the sextants. Are there any objections to that?
No objection from my side there.
Agreement by okay, so we're switching to sextants. So there's going to be 6 of them instead of 5. So it slightly changes around. One interesting thing that I think is really cool is that actually we are going to be able to start doing sextants organized by the degree time. So the actual degree of the sextant will actually be a new label. So for example, if I put here all of the degrees, that's the degrees right there. Okay?
Okay.
So you have the 0 degree sextant. Central Africa. Actually, let me go ahead and actually copy the whole thing because it's helpful to see all of it. And actually, let me get rid of that as well. All right. So these are the sextants, and this is the time zone that is applicable to each sextant. This is the area of the globe that's applicable to each sextant. And then this is the center point of the practical longitude line, okay? Does that make sense?
Okay.
Good. Awesome. All right. So everybody needs to rethink about where they exist. One interesting thing is that the West Atlantic now is the cutoff right at New York City, right? So there's, wait, never, maybe not. Anyway, I don't think about that. But I think this is pretty good. So are there any questions on the general schedule of the sextants, the temporal order of the sextants?
No. No.
Okay, so now the problem is that we need to still fix the order of the duodecad schedule. The duodecad schedule is a problem. And we're going to fix that right now, and it's going to be really good. So the first thing to understand is that when we have the quadrants equal octant Betty-Team schedule. Does that make sense? That's what this is what we currently use. Right? Does that make sense? Yes? Okay, so then we switch to the quintet. Right? So the quintets, we're going to have a decad, so we're going to have a decad Betty-Team schedule. But we never did it because it was too easy, because quintets are 1.8 hours and calculate. So now with the sextants, we end up with called a duodecad Betty-Team schedule. Okay? That make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is going to be our new global Betty-Team schedule. So it's still backwards. So the most important thing to understand is that this one is correct. I believe this one is correct. So you go central and no, this is incorrect. It's east. Africa. East Africa is going to be 12 noon. That is correct. Does that make sense? Yeah. So the duodecad starts at 12 noon UTC for Easter Africa. And then at 2 to 4 p.m. UTC, it's West Africa. And then what comes next? East Africa. The Central Atlantic comes next. Right? So Central Atlantic is going to be 4 to 6 p.m. UTC. And then that is now correct. Then you're going to have West Atlantic. And West Atlantic is going to be 6 to 8 p.m. So that was not correct. You guys see what I'm doing? I'm reversing it. So then West Atlantic, so then it's going to be Central America. And that's going to be 6 to 8 p.m. So basically we just went the wrong direction across the world because the work spins the other direction, right? So we got the times wrong. So now this is correct. That's done. So then we have East Pacific. So we go to the East Pacific up here. East Pacific is from 9 p.m. to 1 a.m. UTC, so that would mean that the center of it would be 10 to midnight. Right? So East Pacific 10 to midnight, which would be this one. So something's still wrong here. What is wrong? What is wrong? So 16, no, and let me copy the whole thing again over here so that we can see the entire backlog. So this is very confusing stuff, but I know we can do it. So after West Atlantic, let's double check West Atlantic. The West Atlantic is from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. So the center would be 4 to 4, 5. So West Atlantic would be 6 to 8. Okay, so West Atlantic is 6 to 8 p.m. So that is correct. After West Atlantic comes Central Americas. Central Americas, which would be 8 p.m. All right, to 10 p.m. See that? That's how we messed it up. Okay?
Yeah.
That makes sense? So that is now correct. And this is going to be 10 p.m. to 12 midnight. So now this is correct. All right, so then what's next? After East Pacific comes Central Pacific. Why isn't that yet? So what used to come after East Pacific? What used to come after the Pacific session? It would be the Oceania session, correct? And that's also where we have the Sonic team. So that is now going to change, right? So the Sonic team will stay the same, but which session it's within will actually change slightly. So this is going to be from 12 midnight to 2 a.m. UTC, right? Which is going to be from 6 to 8 a.m. So it actually is before Oceania. So I believe that New Zealand and East Polynesia is now going to be the new Sonic sessions, right? Question mark, new Sonic session. So we need to make sure we know what that's going to be. So this is 12 minutes to 2 a.m., 2 a.m. to 4 a.m. So is that correct?
Yes.
2 a.m. to 4 a.m. So it looks like this 2 a.m. to 4 a.m. is already done correct. That's interesting. We got one right because it was like halfway through again. So let's see if we can figure out if that is correct with the. Let's just double check this. So the New Zealand East Polynesia is basically part of the new. This is 180 degrees. Right? So if we go to the 180 degree sextant, which is this one, it's West Pacific, and it would be from 2 a.m. to 4 a.m. Let's see if that's right. 2 a.m. to 4 a.m. Correct. Okay, so that's correct. Then what happens next? So it looks like West Australia and West Polynesia. And this would be from 4 a.m. to 6 a.m. Does that look correct? And then we would have the East Asia and West Australia. That's going to be from 6 a.m. UTC. That's correct. Then we would have Central Asia. And then we have the Middle East. So Middle East is 60 degrees, which would be part of the East Africa, Middle East, Central Asia. And so let's make sure these are correct. So what do I do wrong here? This is 8 a.m., so it's going to be 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Is that right? And then this would be 10 a.m. You guys couldn't be helping with this. I don't know why you guys aren't helping. 12 noon, Middle East. So did someone check on the Sonic session to double check it to see if that's correct? You guys all double check. Why is it just silence? I keep asking all these questions and it's just silence and silence and silence. Can anyone hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Right, so did this look correct or what?
Yes, I think it's correct.
Yes. Yesterday I was correctly. I don't know why we are mistaken.
Well, why don't you bring that up? Just copy and paste it here. Just get it and copy and paste it.
No.
So my understanding is that you did these ones correctly and you did the ones correctly for the sextant shift schedules, but you didn't go through the duodecan schedule. I didn't see the duodecan schedule.
Yeah, I didn't do that. I just did the other ones.
So that's the only one that was left. So now basically what happens is we start with Easter Africa, right? And this is what we call a sub. I don't have a good name for it, but it's like an in-between. Does that make sense? That it's an in-between session?
Yes.
So all of these ones are the in-between sessions, and then these ones are going to be the main weekly sessions, and then the in-between are going to happen every other week. So the main weekly sessions, there will be 6 of them. One for each sextant and the main duodecan. Is that right? And then there's going to be in between sessions. These will happen every other week. Okay? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we a main session every other week. So that means that every 2 weeks will equal to 12 plus 6 is 18 sessions. Right?
Yeah.
Can I ask one question?
Yeah.
Why have split it up to 5, from 5 to 6 extents?
Yeah, we used to do the quintet, so the quintet schedule would have had 10 decans, and now with the sextant schedule, we have 12 duodecans, and for our buddy team schedule. So we are no longer using the quintet schedule. We're now going to the sextant schedule, and the reason for that is because it's much, much simpler.
Okay.
And we can start implementing it immediately, whereas the quintet, we were running into problems. We've been trying to implement the quintet schedule, the quintet systems for many, many months now, and it has not worked. You know what I'm saying? So the idea is like, let's try something new. See if we can get it working. So let's just double check the Sonic session. What is this? Let's look at the existing buddy team schedules and both the buddy team schedule. So that's going to be good. So here's the. This is going to be the old. This is now the old buddy team schedule. The old we call octant buddy team schedule. So I can add that up here at the top. So this is the old. We're still using it though, which is the octant. And if we go over to the Oceania session, which is when we have the what do you call it? The Sonic session. So it's 2 to 4 a.m. UTC, right? So we come here 2 to 4 a.m. UTC. Okay. This is the new session. It's the 180-degree session. Right? It's 180 degrees, and this is the new Sonic session. So it's still the Sonic session. Let's make it still as you can see really clearly. This is yes. That's correct. Okay, does that make sense?
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
Yeah. And so it's going to be called the 180-degree session or decan, right? So 180-degree decan. This would be the 90-degree west decan, the 120-degree west decan, right? And it will be when the Sonic session happens. So it'll be East Pacific, and then we have Central Pacific, and then we have Sonic session. And Sonic session will be a main weekly session. It'll happen every single week. Will be a main weekly session at the time scheduled. And then the West Australia, West Polynesia will happen every other week, which will be after that. And then you have East Asia and West Australia main session. And then you have the Middle East session, okay?
Okay.
All right, so this is the new duodecan schedule. Are there any questions or concerns about it?
So now until now, and we are 10 minutes over.
Oh wow. Okay. Well, we still need like 5 more minutes at least. So just to finish up with the the new duodecad buddy team schedule. So this is the new, actually I have it here. No. New duodecad buddy team schedule. So it's still not updated, right? So I believe it was Albina and Abdul were doing it, right?
Yeah, yes,
So what we need to do is we need to take the correct, this is all now correct and verified, and then we need to fix it here. So this is the West Euro Africa. Is now the first one is going to be East Euro Africa. So this is now going to be East Euro Africa. And it's going to be 15 degrees east to 45 degrees east. The center is the 30 degrees east, right? So you could just say 30 degrees east. 30 degrees east to do it vector. Okay?
yes, okay.
So then what comes after East Africa 30 degrees east to a vector? What comes after East? What? What comes after East Africa 30 degrees east to a decade? Let's see Africa. West Africa? Okay. And then this one should be 0 degrees to a decade. Okay? Yes. So basically from here, we'll make sure the times are right. So if we look at UTC, this is going to start at 12 noon. So this would be 12 o'clock p.m. 2 p.m. And then this would be 1 o'clock p.m. That's correct. And then it ends at 2 p.m. So then this here should be 2 o'clock. So then in Americas, this would be 6 a.m. In Australia, it would be 6 p.m.
12 p. 12 a.m.
12 a.m. Okay?
Okay.
The important thing is that these need to be different colors. So every single one of these is going to be different colors. And you just want to go through and make sure that they're all different colors so that you don't get confused. In 2 hours, every single one's going to be 2 hours long. All right?
Yeah, okay, then. Understand.
Cool. And then the only other thing I want to make sure you guys understand is that the West, Euro Africa, 0 degrees duodecad is the center of the 0 degree sextant, which lasts from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. in the West and Central Africa 0 degree sextant. Okay? So what happens is that these are the 2 central hours to the 0 degree sextant. And then this hour of this one and this hour of the next one are parts of the sextant, right? So the sextant itself is 4 hours. So it's 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours. And so what happens is that the in-between duodecans become jointly collaborative and owned between the two duodecans. So there's actually going to be an overlap. So we'll might be able to add it in here a little bit. So let's see here, integers on, right? And this is where the overlap would happen, right here. So let's do the overlap. Two senior managers, right? And change So after the top of the hour here, this is where you switch to the next sextant and the next senior manager. And so the first half hour of this one would be the previous sextant, and then the second half hour would be the next sextant. You have 2 people on duty. Does that make sense?
Yeah, okay then.
All right, so let's cover that in more detail because this is the most important part. This is also the most exciting part. So the last schedule is the senior manager shift schedule. All the senior manager shift schedules will be 5 hours a day. And they overlap by half an hour on each side. So the sextant is 1 to 5 p.m. for the 0-degree sextant. But it overlaps on either side by a half an hour. So the total time of the actual shift is 5 hours. That make sense?
Okay.
Yeah.
The way it's going to work is you have, these are some examples here. So basically you have like day one would be a lead weekly session. In this one you have the number one manager. Then you would have the number one manager. The number one manager. Then you have the 4 with the midweek second. And this would be the 3 hours number 1. Plus 3 hours number 2. The manager. And then it overlaps by 1 hour. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah.
Right? So on the midweek second, it overlaps by an hour. Day 5, the number 2 senior manager. Day 6, number 2 senior manager. Day 7, number 2. So the main weekly session, the number 1 senior manager would be the primary person overseeing it, but everyone is present for the main session. That make sense?
Yes.
So twice a week you have a check-in, and then you have each of the senior managers is going to be there for 3 days. I've been overseeing the whole. Okay. So this is the basic structure. It's more flexible than just that does. Like they use a couple example options of how you can do it. So each group of senior managers can have a little flexibility on their schedule. So you could do like main sessions. This is an example for each specific. You have your main session on Wednesday, and then you have your joint session for 3 hours, 3 hours today, 3 hours now on Saturday. And then you could do it with the joint session on Sunday, or you could kind of go joint session Sunday, main session Wednesday, and then kind of alternate Mel J every day. See how that works?
Yes.
Yeah, so there's a little flexibility on how we want to do it. We can experiment which way works best. But overall, I think this is pretty simple. So then the last thing to finalize here is the actual schedule itself, right? So I'll link that here. This would be the schedule. On the left side, you have the section degrees, the 0 degrees, 6 degrees, the time zone that it is associated with, the parts of the role that it's associated with, and then this would be the actual schedule. So this needs to be updated. This would be a task that's update the shift with correct time. So these times here should be UTC minus 6, right? That would be American time. UTC plus 6. Then also UTC plus. Okay, so this should exist for all of the times here. And then here we also would want E minus 4, right? Because that's the time zone of this section. The time zone is minus 4. So we also would use minus 4 here. This time zone is minus 0. We already have it. This one is minus 8. So we're going to want UT plus 6. And so that everyone has. Can someone take care of that?
Yes.
Yeah. And then this one would be so then once we have all the time zones here, then everyone should be able to very easily understand exactly when the times are and be able to add them up. Okay, so basically here you have there's going to be 42 per week. So it's very simple. You have 7 days, that's 6 seconds, right? That equals 42 minutes per week. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And then we're going to have 12.
Yeah.
So the Mars elections, which are happening now, someone could link the Mars elections, send that out so everyone has it, which are happening now, will be the first elections with sextant instead of the quintet. So everybody needs to know what sextant they're in. So it's going to kind of change. So let's change a little bit of who is in which sextant, which might be different from quintet. Because they're slightly different areas of the role.
I'm adding the Mars election.
Great, perfect. So yeah, so everyone should vote in the Mars election. But as far as signing up for this, I mean, we're ready to go. Right? So basically, the policy is that if you are elected and you and the hours are added to your total, so you can get paid as let's just pull up the rankings real quick. Are you guys okay spending a couple more minutes on this? Because I feel like this is really important. It's going to give people more hours. It's going to like get us more organized. You guys got a couple more minutes? Yeah. Okay, so the next part here would be pulling up the ranking. So now we just need the ranking. I'll just pull up the rankings doc. Because we need to get used to that. We have the new rankings project. So rankings are now an entire project because there's so many different rankings that we use. And they're so important that we're making a whole project. So here's our rankings doc. It should have our, oh, it doesn't have anything. Great. So someone needs to be in charge of ranking. Somebody else wants to take on the ranking report. That's going to be a portion we can make that priority project. I'll take that.
I can take that. Yeah.
So yeah, the document. So now let's try personnel support. down the personnel support, I'm going to look for the rankings related to our team ranking. And that's this doc, right? We have the personnel ranking doc. I'll add it to the ranking doc because I'm going to look for it. We also want to add the public ranking. There's also two new rankings. Abdul's supposed to know about creating two ranking systems that need to happen. Ranking based on action pay, ranking based on versus action pay. Alright, so we go into the public ranking doc. Our current ranking is September, October. Although we do need October as well. Hi, Jorge.
Hi, Jorge.
Hey, Jorge, you're joining the poll.
Hi, Jay. Yes.
Session that you want to check in?
Yes, sure. Do you have the document?
Sure, let me send this.
Thank you, Andy.
I'm on it. There you go.
Thank you. Okay, I'm checking in. I just arrived a few minutes ago. I was teaching. I was on classes for some people in the south here in Bogota, and I just arrived a few minutes ago. And yeah, I am 7 out of 9, and yeah, check. Help me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Jorge. All right, so Jorge, we're covering the elections, the new Sextant schedule. So all of this needs to be reviewed as far as like who, what location everybody's in. Hold on a second. But we can go through these as far as the current winners. Hi.
Okay.
I'm in the session. Hi.
That one now we can change to East Africa. Right?
Okay, so the first person here is Lucy, right? So Lucy won for your Africa, right? Lucy, are you interested in being a senior manager?
Yes.
Wait a second. Hold on a second. Why? Let me organize by. The West Atlantic is supposed to be Nelly. So Nelly and Jorge have won West Atlantic. Right, that's correct, right?
Yes.
Lucy and Thomas on that one. East Pacific and South, of course. We have our Central Asia. And then here for Australia, no, that can't be right. Alright, so October 2017, Mars session. Mercury was the most recent election, correct?
It was Mars?
No, Mars is happening the next day or two. So
Okay.
Mercury is the most recent election, so we're going to work around Mercury. So we would say that it's the current election is right here. And then we push the Mars. That's the current election. No, it doesn't work. There we go. And then we're going to go ahead and organize by Clinton. So again, we're going to want to change this to sextant, right? So everyone needs to figure out what sextant they're in. Right, so the winners of the Austrasia is Shakini and Ali. Which isn't too surprising since Benji and Julie are not around. Then we have Central Asia, Zulu and Abdul. Technically, I see you're now in your Africa, right, or Central. Anyways, we need to. I don't know if you actually are in Central Asia anymore, Steve. I think you might not be, but anyways, we'll figure it out. So then you have East Pacific. Then you have your Africa and West Atlantic. And that's it. And there's going to be a sixth one, right? So we're going to need to add in the new sextant. So if someone can do the adding in the new sextants, that would be really cool. Someone take care of that?
Yeah.
Okay, so then let's go to organize the current. Cool. So Jay and then James. So James, do you want to be a senior manager?
Yes.
Okay, so you would be from your Africa, so you Lucy, right? So the first thing that we can add in is the weekly main session, which is on Friday, right? And then we need to find the sextant. So this would be the East Africa, Middle East, and Central Asia sextant. You guys understand the breakdown of the sextant in terms of the area? And do these times work for you, or so basically you have 1:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. UTC, or you have 8:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. UTC. Those are your options. So as far as I know, this would be either East Africa.
Jay, are the numbers correct? Yes.
What numbers?
This 1, 2, 3, and the name of the person.
Say what?
I don't know. I'm just asking.
I mean, it looks correct to me. I mean, what's the question again?
Oh no, it's okay.
So here, I'm going to make green. The Mercury sessions are the most current elections. The North elections have not happened yet.
Oh, okay.
On Sunday.
Okay.
So 141 is the most votes, and that would be number 1. 97 was the second most votes. 96 was the third most votes. I want to mention
I see. Okay.
the person who does do all the vote recording, so someone should be verifying James's totals. But other than that, yeah, that's all looks good. There is a tie here, but that's not a good. Okay, that makes sense?
Okay. Yes.
Good. So, so James is a yes, wants to be active, right? Lucy, do you want to do it as well?
Yes.
So what we want to do here, what we need to do is get exit versus location section. So if you go to Wikipedia, and you go to, for example, the West and Central Africa, right? And then this one, that's going to be right? You see that? So we would go to the 30. Meridian East. So you can see this is for the 30th Meridian Eastern. So you guys see that?
have to